The international window has ended, which means we are right back into Champions League content, ladies and gentlemen. And in today's video, we are going to be previewing and predicting the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We're going to go game by game, and I will give you guys my preview and predicted winner for each fixture. Before we get started, though, this video is brought to you by SportyTrader. We will be using them several times throughout this video, and if you guys want extra tips and statistics for your bets, go to their UCL page on SportyTrader.com. Link in the description. I was going to say we're starting with the blockbuster here, but I actually think there are two blockbusters. The first of which is going to be PSG versus Liverpool. The first game will be at the Parc des Princes in Paris, and the second leg will be at Anfield. Now, in last year's edition of the Champions League, these guys met in the knockouts, and PSG actually advanced on penalties after winning the game away in Anfield 1-0. Are we going to get a 1-1 aggregate score once again? Comment down below. I'm thinking a little bit higher this time around, namely because I don't think either defense is in as good as form as they were last year. Now, last round, I thought that PSG were going to capitulate to Chelsea, and in fact, the exact opposite happened, and I was forced to hold the L. Such are the perils of being a footy YouTuber. It looks like Monaco might actually just be PSG's bogey team, because after that performance, PSG looked like they are already back to being favorites to win the competition. Liverpool did well in the home leg against Galatasaray, eventually winning 4-1 on aggregate. I will give Liverpool about 50% credit for that performance, and then I'm going to give 50% responsibility or blame to Galatasaray, who just cannot manage football games whatsoever, like at all. They leave the house and they forget how to act. Kind of reminds me a lot of you guys, acting like animals in public. Now, the reason to be bullish on PSG in this fixture, and maybe even bullish on them to win the entire Champions League, is that their attack went beast mode against Chelsea en route to scoring 8 total goals. And if you look at PSG's goals per game compared to Liverpool, they're almost scoring 3 per game. And fun fact, all 4 of PSG's knockout games so far have had at least 3 goals occur. Whatever you want to say about PSG, you can't say they don't entertain. And I think this high goal scoring trend will continue in this round. According to the odds makers, PSG are actually favorites to win both games, Anfield included. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. Winning away at Anfield is definitely possible, but that's going to be mainly due to Liverpool having to chase the game. I'm very concerned about Liverpool's defense. I don't think that Van Dijk has looked particularly good, and I think Ibrahima Konate has kind of taken multiple steps back this season to the point where I watch him and he kind of looks like a liability at times. And going up against this PSG attack, this midfield that can be so aggressive, they inherently create chaos, and I think chaos is exactly what Konate does not want to be playing in right now. Ryan Gravenberch is going to have one of the games of his life to compete with this PSG midfield, which we know is a Rolls Royce, essentially. Now, some absolute French PSG blue cheese is the fact that their Ligue 1 game in between the first and second leg of this quarterfinals was postponed. How this is allowed in football, I have no idea. But obviously, this is an unfair advantage for them in the sense that they will be more rested for the away leg at Anfield. At the Parc des Princes, I see PSG winning 2-1, 3-1, something like that. I really think Liverpool will keep it respectable, but ultimately be unable to contain them. And then in the game at Anfield, I think Liverpool put up a really good fight. I'm kind of thinking a 2-2 draw, maybe even a 2-1 win. But at the end of the day, I am going to go with PSG advancing here, probably 4-3 or 5-3 on aggregate. Next up, we have Real Madrid versus Bayern. This is the second blockbuster that I was talking about. This is just a delicious matchup. First game at the Santiago Bernabeu, second game back in Germany at the Allianz Arena. 2 Ballon d'Or nominees. I would say 2 top 3 Ballon d'Or nominees going at it in this game, and I think whoever advances to the semifinal is probably going to leapfrog the other in the ranking. Unless Bayern Munich advance, because I think Harry Kane is already the front runner at this point in time. But I think Mbappe could overtake him depending on the performances in this quarterfinal. Now, in the first game at the Bernabeu, Bayern are actually favorites. And I don't know if that's Courtois tax because he's going to be out injured, but I found that really interesting, especially because in the last round, Real Madrid smacked City 3-0 at home. Now, I know it was a Fede Valverde hat trick, and Who could have foreseen that happening? Certainly not me, because I thought Madrid were going to lose. I'm telling you, man, being a footy YouTuber, it is a humbling experience. Is Fede going to score another hat trick against Bayern Munich in the home leg again? I mean, I'd like to see the odds on that. A hat trick is unlikely, but he is in ridiculous goal scoring form, including for the Uruguayan national team. I wouldn't put it past him to get one here. I already said it, but Thibaut Courtois is unavailable for this fixture, and I think without him, not just Real Madrid, but Belgium, literally any team, is going to be more vulnerable and is going to go down a couple levels. You just simply can't replace this man. And you need that when you're playing Bayern Munich, who you could easily argue has the best front three in football right now with Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, and Harry Kane. I kind of hate predicting this though, because Harry Kane has a slight ankle injury. I don't know if Musiala is going to play. I don't know if Jude Bellingham is going to play now. So for the sake of my sanity and simplicity, we're just going to assume they're all involved. For my predictions, I'm going high scoring once again. In fact, 90% of Bayern's Champions League games have over 2 goals in them, and 75% of Real Madrid's games have the same. So yeah, I don't think we get an outlier here in the quarters. In the home leg at the Bernabeu, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. I'm going to say Madrid win. I'm going to say 3-2. I think we get a great game. I don't love Bayern Munich center backs either that much. I think Jonathan Tah freaks me out. Upamecano, he's got a mistake in him at all times. Going up against Mbappe and Vinicius, who is just in ridiculous Champions League form, it kind of scares me a little bit. I think Bayern would do really well to concede 3 goals or less across both legs. In the second leg, I'm fully assuming that Harry Kane will be back to full fitness at this point in time. On top of the fact that Bayern are a very good home side, there's also the storyline where they are pretty comfortably in first place in the Bundesliga right now. They could lose the game in between legs and they won't care at all. Meanwhile, Real Madrid are battling Barcelona to stay in the La Liga title race. It's definitely advantage Barca at this point in time, but they're not just going to surrender the league form. They also have the Copa del Rey final against Atleti, so they're going to go for the treble. In the away leg, man, I have no freaking clue. Am I allowed to say that in these videos? Sometimes you just got to throw your hands up and it's like, hey, I'm unqualified here. I really like Bayern Munich. I think the way that they massacred, drew, and quartered Atalanta in the last round means something to me. Betting against Madrid in the Champions League, though, is terrifying, and I hate doing this. So I am going to say that Bayern then wins 3-2, and we go on to penalties. And who the heck wins on penalties, man? I don't know. So I'm going to say the winner here is decided on pens. I will give a slight edge to Madrid, but Bayern could take it as well. What I'm about to say is extremely obvious, but I'm going to take it anyways. If Bayern Munich can get out of the Bernabeu, either down a single goal or tied on aggregate, or even with the lead, I think they win. I think Madrid have to have a big game at home in order to survive, because I do think Bayern should be considered top 3 Champions League favorites. I would put them, PSG, and I don't even know if I'd put Arsenal top 3. Maybe that's disrespectful. We'll talk about them in the next game. The problem in the last round was that Manchester City gave themselves an insurmountable situation. If Bayern Munich can avoid that, I do think they advance to the semis. The next game is Sporting versus Arsenal, so a bit of a Gyökeres homecoming match here. The first game will be in Portugal, and Arsenal are massive favorites in this one, which I think is a little disrespectful because I thought that Sporting's comeback against Bodo in the second leg was a masterclass, ultimately winning 5-3 on aggregate. And I'm going to keep this one quick here. Sporting need a similar home performance if they're going to win. I do not think they can go back to the Emirates, down a goal, or tied on aggregate and win. Arsenal are very boring, but they are very effective, and they will take care of business at home. Sporting's best hope is to win the home leg and then force Arsenal to come out of their crab shell a little bit. Now, my prediction for this one, I actually do think Sporting will win the home fixture. That front three is dangerous, man. Arsenal's defense is elite, and so I don't expect them to concede more than 2 goals, and really they shouldn't be conceding more than 2 goals in any game, but I think that is the upper limit for away in Lisbon. I also think it's worth mentioning that Arsenal were poor away to Bayer Leverkusen, who I believe is a similar, if not slightly inferior power level team compared to Sporting. So I think Sporting are going to win 2-1 at home. Going back to the Emirates, you guys know I'm an upset merchant. I would love to call this here, but I think Arsenal will ultimately win it, maybe 2-0 or 3-0. Sporting were very naive away to Bodo. They got cut up. It could have been more than 3 goals, truthfully. So yeah, I'll just go with 3-0 for Arsenal. God, that sounds a little high, but whatever. I'm going to keep it, which means they advance 4-2 on aggregate. Last game here, and the one that I am dreading the most, Atletico versus Barcelona. Hi, I'm an Atleti fan, by the way. What is even more of a nightmare is that the first leg is at the Camp Nou, which is a venue in which Atletico have a complicated history. And as much as I love Diego Simeone, he will always be a legend. He has transformed the club. He has never really been able to solve the Barca Rubik's Cube. To the surprise of nobody, the odds makers have a Barcelona win at the Camp Nou as the most likely outcome. And while I wish I could disagree, I don't at all. If there's one result from any of the 8 games in this round that would stun me the most, it is Atleti winning at the Camp Nou. I do think this one is high scoring again. I feel like the lowest scoring affair here is going to be between Sporting and Arsenal, mainly because of how Arsenal play. From what I've seen, it is futile for Atleti to sit back against Barcelona. That will surely lead to defeat. And I think Simeone knows this, which means Atleti are going to play more attacking football. And they've been playing more attacking football for years now under Diego Simeone. Just nobody watches La Liga, so nobody knows about this. And Atletico do have a chance here, don't get me wrong. I'm just very nervous. Lately, these games have been bangers, including Atletico advancing to the Copa del Rey final after winning 4-3 against Barcelona. The second leg was one of the most stressful games I've ever watched in my entire life. Atleti were up 4-0, and we almost let it go. The definition of hanging on by a thread. There are notable injuries and pending injuries for both teams here, and I'm not really sure how this affects my predictions too much, but for Barcelona, Rafinha is confirmed out. Balde, De Jong, and Koundé are questionable, so maybe they play in the second leg. I'm honestly not sure. Nobody knows as of time of recording. For Atletico, Pablo Barrios is doubtful. Jan Oblak is probably out for the first leg, though I think he will return for the second. And Johnny Cardoso got injured with the U.S. men's national team as well, so now he's questionable. Sorloth is also questionable as well because he got some stitches from a head injury, but I think he will be back in time. Predicting this game, man, I hate how y'all make me do this. I'm gonna say it's a 3-1 for Barca. Lamine Yamal was unstoppable the last time we played these guys, and Ruggeri is one of the worst defenders in world football that I've ever seen. He will be exposed, and the only hope is to double or triple team Yamal, which, if we do that, Barcelona have goals in the middle of the pitch to punish you. Juan Musso is going to be starting in this game most likely as well, and he did play very well in the Copa del Rey against Barca. We're going to need another Herculean performance to keep this one close. In the second leg, I do think Atleti can win, and I think it's going to be a lot of goals, and I'm going to say 3-2 Atleti, but it's not going to be enough. At the end of the day, Barcelona advance 5-4 on aggregate. Truth be told, though, I have too much trauma from this fixture to speak on this objectively. Barca Atleti, I hate it. Though I do think this is going to be an entertaining fixture, and I think the quarterfinals overall are going to be really exciting. That's going to be all for today's video. Those are your official Champions League quarterfinals preview and prediction. We will be back for the semifinals here on the channel, so make sure you guys hit subscribe, smash the like button, drop your predictions down below in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.